Tonight on ELN Local News.
71 days to go. President Trump visiting North Carolina on the first day of the Republican National Convention. What he guaranteed to voters.
Meanwhile, ELN University President Connie Book voicing her support for trustee and U.S. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy as he testifies on Capitol Hill over mass mail-in voting.
Wildfires in the west, storms in the south. Tonight we speak to ELN students as their homes are threatened.
And finally, a student with more than just a pandemic on her hands, how she's balancing her family life and education.
Those stories and more.
ELN Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at ELN University School of Communications, you're watching ELN Local News.
Good evening and welcome to ELN Local News. I'm Margaret Faust.
And I'm Brian Ray. Thanks for joining us tonight. With just 71 days to go until Election Day, we begin this evening on the campaign trail as election season is now full speed ahead. It's the Republicans' turn this week to show off their candidate. Earlier today, President Donald Trump was formally renominated for president down in Charlotte and made a last-minute visit to address the delegates.
I just want to thank the people of North Carolina because, to be honest with you, I felt an obligation to be here. You have a governor who's in a total shutdown mood. I guarantee on November 4th, it'll all open up. It'll be fine, like most other states.
Trump is scheduled to make an appearance every night of the convention with his keynote address expected on Thursday. Former Vice President Joe Biden formally accepted his party's nomination at their mainly virtual convention last week.
During his address, President Trump once again criticized mail-in voting, making claims that people were being sent ballots who didn't request them. Meanwhile, in Washington, Postmaster General and ELN Board of Trustee Louis DeJoy testified in front of the House Oversight Committee. This comes as the U.S. Postal Service is coming under increased scrutiny for how it will handle mail-in ballots. In a letter to the Academic Council today, ELN University President Connie Book doubled down on DeJoy's role as an ELN trustee. President Book said, quote, "The comments we've received about Mr. DeJoy's association with ELN indicate that most people are not fully aware of his dedicated, involved, and generous service as a trustee since 2007. Referring to DeJoy's financial support of ELN Odyssey scholarships, Book added, "I hope more people become aware of the positive contribution Mr. DeJoy has made to our community."
With 10 weeks to go until the big day, students are gearing up for the final stretch of the election. Our Isabella Seaman has the story.
I don't know what the hell is going to happen.
With the upcoming election, ELN students are paying attention to President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden.
Well, Donald Trump's just unfit to be president, and then I think Joe Biden, personally, I believe that he's not necessarily mentally fit to be president.
Co-coordinator of ELN Votes, Andrea Sheets, says they have seen more interest from students to vote than usual.
And so it's really nice to see that students from across all majors, across all hometowns, literally every demographic of students is really interested in the election, and we're just hoping to get as many people voting as possible.
Sheets says students should register and vote as soon as possible in order for their vote to be viable.
I think one of our biggest things this semester is with all the uncertainty between now and November 3rd is to just get it done early as you can.
Sentiments echoed today on Capitol Hill by Postmaster General and ELN trustee Louis DeJoy, saying that it is his responsibility to make sure ballots are received before Election Day.
I want to begin by assuring this committee and the American public that the Postal Service is fully capable and committed to delivering the nation's ballots securely and on time.
Despite some reassurance from DeJoy, Sheets says there are still some concerns about mail-in voting.
It's safe. We know there's delays happening, and we don't know if those delays will continue or be fixed before Election Day. So we're just telling students, if you think your deadline's here, maybe do it a week or two early.
Isabella Seaman, ELN Local News.
To learn more on how to register to vote, visit eln.edu/vote. Now an update on the impact of coronavirus on campus and throughout the community. Elon University reported no new cases of coronavirus today. In Alamance County, there are more than 40 new cases, with the state reporting close to 1,300 new cases. The daily count contributes to the 15 total cases on campus, nearly 3,000 cases in Alamance County, and more than 150,000 cases in the state.
After new cases in the state started to fall in late July, the numbers of new cases have slowly started to increase. For the latest numbers anytime, all the time, visit elonnewsnetwork.com/coronavirus. And the town of Elon Police Department says it handed out about 10 citations to people violating the governor's gathering limits since August 14th. Police Chief Kelly Blackwelder is warning the community that her department is enforcing the governor's orders, limiting gathering sizes for 10 people inside and 25 people outside. But so far, she says she has been pleased with the behavior of Elon students since returning to campus.
No one is under a rock saying, I didn't know about this. Everyone knows what the rules are. And part of that is preparing the younger generation for the ability to be accountable for their actions. If you have a party, we're trusting you not to, but if you have a party that is in excess of the governor's orders, then there's a repercussion for that.
Blackwelder says the university is taking a stiff approach in enforcing the governor's limit on gathering sizes. She says the university now requests daily reports of the number of students who were cited instead of weekly ones. For more information on how the university plans to enforce these policies, visit our website elonnewsnetwork.com and search student conduct.
Most international travel during fall semester has been canceled, except for the business school's dual degree program, where students spend 2 years here on campus and 2 years at a partner school in Germany, Spain, France, or Italy. For some students in the program, the coronavirus pandemic changed their plans, but for others, it's business as usual.
It was a done deal. Like, I wanted to do this.
She heard it on her tour of Elon and carved it into her plans. Janie McCarthy would spend 2 years on campus and 2 years in Spain.
I definitely came in as a freshman having my life planned. Like, I know people always told me, you know, Janie, like, you're very wise. However, things may change. And I thought they were crazy. No, not for me. Things aren't going to change for me.
She visited the school in Madrid she'd be going to, sold her car for travel money, and then the pandemic hit.
I ultimately decided, and it was, weeks, that right now, as much as an international experience sounds so tempting, right now, for safety reasons, I just could not justify going abroad amidst a global pandemic.
Elon Jr. Meg Rude got her visa days ago and is headed to France next month, but the pandemic is adding some turbulence to her travel plans.
We waited so long to get housing because I was like, am I going? Am I not going? I don't want to pay a lease and get stuck in a lease if I'm not going to be there. And so now I'm stuck with no housing.
France was once a hotspot for COVID-19, leaving Meg with some concern.
There's definitely that thought in the back of my mind that, like, if I get it over there, it's going to be a struggle of 2 weeks. You know, what do I do? Because I'm all by myself.
Living away from her family amid a pandemic.
I'm definitely going to get homesick because, like, being from Maryland, I can go to, like, Elon very quickly. I can get home very quickly. Being in France, you can't do that as easily.
It's important to note that students are an exception under Europe's travel restriction, which currently does not allow U.S. travelers. The director of the dual degree program, Mark Kurt, declined a request for an interview, but says he's focused on ensuring a successful start to the new school year for students in the program.
As many students know, a freshman year roommate is a part of the college experience. But for Elon freshman Molly Wells, her roommate left just hours after coming to campus. Wells says the situation has forced her to put in extra effort to meet new people.
I've made some friends, like, it's definitely better, but the first couple days was definitely really tough, and it was kind of like a security blanket being ripped off really soon, like less than 12 hours.
While Wells says she is getting used to living alone, she worries about the potential of moving to fully remote instruction.
I would consider going home just because I don't want to be in my room by myself constantly. I think I'd literally go crazy, like talking to my wall.
Wells says although rushed independence was an uncomfortable experience at first, she is getting more used to it each day.
Still to come, we'll hear from the North Carolina State Health Director about residential college campuses as numerous schools in the state transition to online learning.
You're watching Elon Local News.
3 North Carolina colleges are transitioning to online learning after several outbreaks on their campuses. But could Elon be next? Our Baylor Rodman spoke with North Carolina's State Health Director and Chief Medical Officer Elizabeth Cuervo-Tilson to get her thoughts on the handling of coronavirus by higher education institutions in the state. Take a look.
Residential campuses throughout the state be holding in-person instruction?
You know, I think that question, that's one of the biggest questions, one of the hardest decisions, and there's an enormous amount of risk and benefit. So I don't know that there's a clear answer. I think we have to think about those risks and benefits and think about all the strategies we can put into place to reduce risk. We're never going to get to no risk. We know there's virus in the community, but how can we decrease risk as much as possible? And what are the resources of the different campuses and the different universities to do that? On our website, we have very detailed guidance, and we have shared it with all of our institutes of higher education, worked with the leadership of our Institute of Higher Education, of all the strategies they can put into place to decrease risks.
How would you suggest that people can stay social, not just be in a room talking to their wall, driving themselves crazy, but also being safe at the same time?
Yeah, and we say social distancing, but really what we should be saying is physically distancing, but still wanting to stay socially connected. So humans are very social creatures. We need to stay socially connected. And I do see this as kind of a other side effect of this pandemic. Yes, it's a respiratory virus and it causes respiratory problems, but the other pieces that it's causing, I think, is anxiety, depression, the mental health piece of it, because it is separating us socially, and that is an incredibly important piece of our wiring.
Is there a concern about the strain of university students on residential campuses being all put on the healthcare system and then overwhelming that?
Yeah, I think, and that's a really, really important piece, I think, for our students to remember, that you are not in isolation, you are not in a bubble, right? What happens on college campuses affects the community, not just the community on those college campuses, but the communities in which those college campuses are.
What do you think it means for North Carolinians to be able to play an active role in containing the pandemic?
I think the most important thing everybody can do is what we say, those 3 W's, practice the 3 W's. It seems very simple, but it's the most powerful tool that we have, and effective. So wearing that face covering, waiting 6 feet apart, washing your hands, and then I'm going to add one, avoiding large gatherings of people. If we all do that, then we really have the power to change the trajectory of this virus. And we saw that, right? When we all started wearing a face covering, we saw that change in our cases over the summer. That was amazing. We saw that. Now we're going to have to do it with even more vigor. Now that we have more people together on campuses, we all are going to have to follow those 3 W's. And then again, the addition in not social gatherings.
Tilson also says some of the lessons learned so far is that none of us can be complacent. COVID-19 has spread quickly, and it's been important to her and other state officials to get out in front of it.
The quest for a coronavirus vaccine is closer than you may think. Emery Eisner has the story.
After months of people sheltering in place, hospitals nationwide becoming overwhelmed with patients, and the death toll continuing to rise, drug companies and researchers are scrambling to find ways to contain and cure COVID-19.
College has been fun. Yeah, Corona sucks. Hopefully it'll all go away once we get a vaccine.
Though UNC Chapel Hill freshman Scott Hoover had his first semester cut short following several coronavirus clusters on campus, his school is working to contain the pandemic nationwide.
It's all happening right here in North Carolina, just an hour away from Elon. Researchers at UNC Chapel Hill are now asking for volunteers to help them prevent and treat COVID-19. The vaccine trials are continuing, even as undergraduate instruction was again moved online at UNC following a cluster outbreak of cases on their campus.
The trial is led by Dr. Cynthia Gay, along with her colleagues David Wohl and Joseph Aaron. All did not return ELN's multiple requests for comment. According to the UNC School of Medicine, Gay's team is leading the UNC site Phase 3 trial for a potential COVID-19 vaccine developed by Moderna. According to the National Institutes of Health, the national study will enroll about 30,000 participants who will be randomly assigned to either a vaccine or a placebo injection. According to Dr. Elizabeth Cuervo-Tilson, North Carolina State Health Director, a coronavirus vaccine could mean everything for the state's public health.
In public health, the most important tool we have is vaccination.
Moderna's potential vaccine is one of several currently in development. Emery Eisner, Elon Local News.
Adults interested in participating in the trial can sign up through a national registry where they are asked to provide informed consent. To get involved, visit coronaviruspreventionnetwork.org.
For the first week of classes, it's been pretty muggy. I'll tell you if that's going to change or stay the same after this.
Welcome back. We're following two major storms in the south and a major wildfire out west. We'll get to how the storms are threatening the Gulf Coast in a second. But first, Northern California has seen more than 1 million acres burn to deadly wildfires with no end in sight as firefighters continue to battle against the fires. While there are more than 13,000 firefighters working to contain the 3 massive fires in the Northern Bay Area, Central Valley, and eastern San Jose areas, Elon Jr. Channing Wilkinson says she was shocked when she initially heard about the fire, but is concerned about her father's winery in her Napa Valley community.
Just shocked that it was started from heat lightning, because that was just, I've never seen heat lightning. I've lived there my entire life. I've never seen it there before. I have a lot of hope that we'll get through it and be okay, and everyone is very strong in our community.
Wilkinson's family is safe for now, but will evacuate to stay with her brother in San Francisco if needed.
And another Elon student is fearing her parents may need to evacuate. It's Elon student Nikki Johnson's first semester of college, and she says not being home is tough.
And we're always on our phones checking, where the fires are currently, so we can, be prepared and stuff like that. So it's really hard for me to be this far from home and then have that time difference. So I don't know exactly what's going on at the very moment back home for me, which makes it difficult.
The fire is now covering area 3 times the size of Alamance County, and the latest thunderstorms producing little rain could make it worse. As the fire continues to grow, Johnson says her parents are not being ordered to evacuate at this time.
Now to the south, where 2 storms are expected to hit the Gulf Coast. Right now, Tropical Storm Marco is approaching the mouth of the Mississippi River. Tropical Storm Laura is following closely behind. It's expected to make landfall Wednesday and is predicted to strengthen to a Category 2 storm. Louisiana's southwestern coastline is expected to receive heavy rainfall and up to 10 feet of storm surge. Elon Jr. Caroline Sleeman lives outside of New Orleans. While she's away at college, she says she constantly needs to talk to her family.
Main concerns mostly lie with just heavy winds and heavy rain coming in, power outages, things like that, and just staying in constant communication with my parents. I wish I could be there, help them prepare for it.
Now let's take a look at the weather closer to home as Anne-Marie Bonner is outside on Citron Plaza with your Phoenix 5-day forecast.
Anne-Marie, are those storms in the south going to affect us here at Elon?
Actually, you shouldn't expect to see any severe weather this week, but what you should expect are some pretty high temperatures. This is your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, it will be a high of 90 with a low of 70 degrees. Wednesday, it will also be pretty hot with a high of 94 and a low of 73. So if you're planning to be outdoors for a class, make sure you dress lightly. Thursday will be a high of 93 with a low of 74. Storms are possible in the evening, so make sure if you're going out in a distance way that you grab a raincoat just in case. Friday will be cloudy with a high of 91 and a low of 74. Saturday will also be a high of 91 with a low of 68. You shouldn't expect to see fall temperatures just yet. Still anticipate those hot summer weather. I'm Anne-Marie Bonner, and this has been your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
And still ahead, how one student is balancing her education with parenthood.
Elon men's soccer player and Germany native Peter Wenzel found himself going home earlier than expected last spring. Wenzel spent quarantine in Germany until July 27th when he returned to the U.S., joining his teammates in workouts after a 14-day isolation period. Before coming back, Wenzel said he had many tough conversations with family, friends, and medical professionals.
It's a pandemic, right? And soccer shouldn't be the only thing that I should worry about. And that is true. But Elon has really given me and my family the impression that we do know what we're doing here and we are as precautious as only possible.
For more on Peter Wenzel and the international athlete experience, check out this week's edition of The Pendulum this Wednesday.
Dean of Students Jana Lynn Patterson says she is unaware of any undergraduate students who are parents, but I found one and looked at how this mother is balancing parenthood and school. Junior Carissa Klein got a surprise before starting her freshman year at Rutgers University in New Jersey.
I cried a lot. It was definitely not the plan.
She was pregnant and decided to transfer to Elon after her freshman year to be closer to family. When she arrived, it wasn't what she expected.
I didn't think anybody out there was looking out for people like me.
Klein left behind a support system at Rutgers for young mothers like herself, something she was unable to find at Elon. The lack of support was evident in her social life as well.
A lot of them were kind of like, oh yay, like a baby. Everybody loves a baby, but you can still kind of tell there was a bit of a hesitation, like, oh, do I want to socialize with this person because of the fact that they have so many responsibilities at home? And, you know, who is this person to be at Elon and have a baby?
Klein doesn't have time to dwell on criticism. Between mealtime, online class, and developmental exercises for her 1-year-old son, Kai, this school year is keeping Klein busy.
Even, you know, when school wasn't in session, I was still 100% of the time doing something. There's never a break.
She wants to rewrite the narrative about students in her situation.
Being a mom doesn't make anybody any different. I'm still fully committed to my family, but I'm also committed to schooling and making sure that my future continues.
Klein is taking advantage of online classes to further her education while caring for her child. Margaret, Faust, Elon Local News. That's all the news we have for you this evening. Thanks for joining us.
For all the news you need to know when we're not on the air, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And be sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
Have a great week, Elon.